Good evening, I am Ben Kitili at the Standard Group Center here in the Kenyan capital. Nairobi. Many thanks for joining us on this day, 114 days to the August 8th general election. And we are right stuck in the middle of the all-important political party nominations. Of course, the Orange Party, ODM, has been the first on the ground, staggering its nomination exercise across a couple of days. The Jubilee Party will have their big day on Friday, the 21st of April. It has been called a mini general election because that is they will be conducting their nominations in all the counties on the same day. More than 8,000 political aspirants expected to have their contests measured on that particular day. And of course, we are talking about that, the Jubilee nominations preparations. And tonight we have the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Raphael Tuju, here with us to just have a chat with him on the nomination exercise, the preparations, and any other issues for the Jubilee Party in the run-up to the general election in August. Many thanks for staying with us. On our Twitter poll question, we are asking you, do you think the Jubilee Party nominations will be free and fair? Tell us what you think. Text us or tweet your opinion, plus a brief comment. Twitter hashtag is Choice2017. You can tweet me at Ben_Kitili or at KTN News. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Karibu sana. I understand you're working through Easter, a very crucial time for all the parties, yours especially ahead of the big day on Friday. How prepared is Jubilee Party for the nominations?
We're doing pretty well. We are putting in lots of hours. From this meeting, I'm actually going back to the Secretariat. So most of us are doing we're running the Secretariat on a 24-hour basis at the moment. A lot of people are working overnight.
Right.
We are in the process of ensuring that a lot of the non-strategic materials like ballot boxes and pens,
yes,
indelible inks and those kind of things are already on their way to the regional centers. After that, we'll make sure that they are in their constituencies by the 20th. And we're appealing to all aspirants to make sure that their agents are available at the polling stations by 5 a.m. on 21st.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. because we'll be opening the polling stations by 6 a.m. And we close it at 5 p.m. And why we want them there as early as 5 a.m. latest is because we want them to be able to look at the serial numbers of the ballot papers from beginning to end, because at the end of the polling, there will be an audit again of the serial numbers of the ballot papers which have been utilized before the counting begins. So as much as possible, we are trying to mirror the IEBC process, and we're also borrowing from other best practices around the world.
Speaking of which, just take us through the process of nominations for Jubilee on Friday.
Well, it is a secret ballot. And we have ballot boxes. We have over, 45, actually over 50,000 ballot boxes in all the 23,000 polling stations that we'll be managing. We have devolved a lot of things, so when you hear the figures, it may worry you a little bit, but we've devolved as much as we can. Then, of course, the ballot papers are very, very secure. They have various security features, including some that you can see with the naked eye, but if you try to photocopy it, the photocopy will not be able to take it. We have watermarks. So if you look at the ballot paper, against a light, you should be able to see the watermark. That again, it is us who know where it is. People will only see it on the 21st. So anybody thinking that they are printing ballot papers somewhere, they're really wasting their time. We have several other features that we don't want to talk on television.
Security features.
Yeah, for security features.
All right.
And we have appealed to our aspirants to know that no violence or hooliganism will be accepted, because at this particular stage we are operating under Section 31 of the Elections Act, which means that if you commit an election offense, you are liable to be prosecuted, and some of the fines and and sentences can be very severe.
All right.
People could joke around with the time when we were doing our, making our, our interim officials across the country.
Right.
But this specific period is governed by the Elections Act.
All right.
And in a way, which is the truth, is that we are actually acting on behalf of the IEBC, because the IEBC was actually supposed to conduct these nominations. Yes.
Jubilee and ODM are the two of the biggest political parties in this country. ODM have decided to stagger the nominations across a number of days for the counties where they have a lot of activity on those nomination days. Why did Jubilee decide to do it on one single day?
Well, it was a management decision, because one of the things that we had to deal with is the fact that if you're going to train returning officers, you can decide to train 20 using the same template, or you can decide to train 200 or 300 using the same templates. You'll still need the same facilitators, the same manuals, and it is the same process. So we realized that we could work it out in such a way that by using the same template, like our training manual is 22 pages, there are various steps that we train our people to be able to ensure that they follow a certain methodology of doing these nominations. And it was our management decision that since it is the same template, we should be able to do it in one day.
All right. Political parties always issue these assurances that party primaries will be free and fair, but we have seen for the bigger political parties, we have seen chaotic scenes in this country for the past several years when it comes to the primaries. What are you doing to make sure that the Jubilee nominations are not chaotic, given the fact that Jubilee parties, conglomeration of several former parties,
yes,
is going to be very hotly contested?
Yes, I think it's definitely a challenge, because there's a certain culture of violence, a certain culture of impunity that has been allowed to take root in the nomination process. And part of the problems we are facing right now is that there's a good number of people who have benefited from those chaotic situations and those acts of impunity. For the first time, they are finding themselves in a situation that they're not able to compromise the system that we've put in place. So they're complaining a lot, and I've seen some of them complain on TV, and I just laugh, because some of them have tried to compromise the process, and they have not been able to compromise it. So it is a culture that we know we have to deal with. Very often people have gotten away with murder, especially in the nomination process. But at this particular moment in time, the systems we have put in place, for example, we have ballot papers with security features. Then at 5 a.m., they'll have to verify by serial number the number of ballot papers that are there. They're sealed. We'll use sealed ballot boxes. We are allowing the agents to take photographs of the ballot papers when they're being opened, photographs of the seals that are going to be put in the boxes. And when we are doing the counting at the end of the day, they'll have to show to everyone where that ballot paper has been marked, and the counting will be done in front of everyone. At the end, that when all the numbers of votes have been counted, there'll be filling of a Form 3 and Form 4, in which all agents will have to sign against the figure that has been counted for their candidate. We are allowing the aspirants, agents to take a photo of that. And then that piece of paper is taken to the tallying center. The presiding officer cannot change those figures, because if he changes the figures, there are 3 or 4 different photographs of the same thing, so there will be questions.
All right.
At the tallying center, if somebody reads, because they have to read loud the figures from every polling station as per the Form 3, which is taken to the the tallying center. So if you say, for example, a certain candidate has won 300 and has got 320 votes, and the record with all the other agents was 220, then it would be obvious somebody played around with that 2 to make it 3. And the presiding officer will be in trouble. So even if the presiding officer is a spouse of a candidate, we don't see how they'll be able to play around with this.
All right.
And thanks also to technology, the things which happened in 2002, 2007, we didn't have WhatsApp that time. So things are a bit different right now. So technology is going to help.
All right. There was a meeting recently in Nakuru which turned a bit chaotic as you met some aspirants to iron out some of these issues out of the primaries. What was that about? I
don't think it was chaotic. I think people like to pick the areas which are full of any kind of drama. Somebody wanted to speak, and the rest were not allowing him to speak. And all I insisted is, no, please allow him to speak. I want to hear what he has to say. And then, of course, through very clever editing, that is what somebody picked. Yet, if you talk to the people of Nakuru, they issued a press statement the following day, how they were very delighted that as a party secretariat, we actually went there to explain things to them. And we had complete control of that meeting. I think I was with them for close to 1 hour, answering questions in a baraza style. Everybody had a chance to ask questions. And, you know, somebody who, for some reasons, a lot of the aspirants who were there were not happy with what he was saying, they decided to shut him down. And my intervention was just to ensure that he was given a chance to speak.
No chaos at all?
So there was no chaos. I mean, I stayed in that particular place for another 1 hour, meeting with members of the County Elections Board and our officials in Nakuru. And after that, they offered to take me for dinner, but it was past 11 o'clock, actually past midnight. So I decided not to take their dinner off and came back to Nairobi. But when I saw it on TV, well, somebody wanted drama.
All right, fair enough.
Yes.
Are you hiring any equipment from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for this exercise?
No, we're not hiring any equipment. We are hiring the ballot boxes.
All right.
And we're also hiring some lamps in some of the areas where we think there may be problems with the light or typical light, typical power failures, just as backup. We are paying for these polling boxes, ballot boxes. We are paying for them at the same rate that they always rent them out to organizations like the Law Society of Kenya. So there's nothing exceptional in that.
All right. Do you think the exercise of party nominations for all the political parties would have been less chaotic, let's use the cliche again, if the IEBC was conducting them as Jubilee wanted them from the onset?
Well, I don't know, not necessarily. I cannot predict what would have happened. Right. But one of the things that we're doing is that we're being very strict on issues of violence or chaos. I've issued a very tough circular. And let me tell you, if anybody tries to visit violence on us or during this process, men in black style, we will disqualify them. And we do have a very, very tough disciplinary committee that is being activated. It is in existence, but it's being activated to be on the alert that if anybody tries to visit violence or chaos during this nomination process, they will be taking a big risk. And one of the things that we have stated is that, for example, from the 19th, all our aspirants have to stop their campaigns, so that on the 20th, we must have the possibility to accredit all the observers, all the agents, and give us room to be able to go to the polling stations without too much drama. On the day of the secret ballot nominations, on the 21st, nobody is allowed to go to the polling stations with their branded materials like T-shirts, caps. Nobody's allowed to get into the polling stations at all, even the polling area, with any of this kind of paraphernalia. Nobody's allowed to remain on the line after they have voted, as long as, because there will be an indelible ink that they have to be ready to dip their fingers on to show that they have actually voted. And anybody visiting violence on us, all the polling stations will have armed security.
All right.
And we are working with the liaison person who has been provided for security for all political parties. I'm told some political parties did not want policemen. I don't know for what reason, but there it is.
Right.
But we are working with the security. We're working with the security organs of government to ensure that nobody can visit violence on people. And please don't dare to do this with respect to female candidates, because that is automatic disqualification. Of course, we are also telling the female candidates,
right,
if you try to, put some drama into this as an attempt to get your opponent disqualified, and we find out that it was all made up, then again, you'll be in trouble.
All right. An aspirant in Kabete constituency by the name Chege Fresh disappeared, quote unquote, for a few days and was found in the county of Narok. He is a Jubilee aspirant.
How many days was it, by the way?
Like 2 days. It was Friday to Sunday.
Okay.
What is your take on such incidents?
At least I'm glad that he stayed for so long and he was still eating. He didn't starve to death. So that's a good sign that he wasn't particularly in any major danger. But it is the responsibility of our disciplinary committee to look at the merits of the case. Unfortunately, it's rather late in the day to remove his name from the ballot. So we're leaving it to the people of Kabete to make a good decision as to who they want to elect. We don't want to interfere with that at this particular moment and stage. If some other information comes out in future that requires that we take action, then we can. But we have 4 days to go.
All right. Thank you. We're talking to the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Raphael Tuju, on just the preparations for the Jubilee Party's nomination exercise set to be conducted on Friday, the 21st of April. That is about 4 days away. We are talking about what measures they put in place to make sure it is a free and fair exercise. And that's what we were asking you on our Twitter poll question. Do you think the Jubilee Party nominations will be free and fair? When we return, we'll speak to him about a number of other issues concerning the preparations. Also, there have been reports that Jubilee Party has been broke. Is it true or is it just rumors? We'll find out. And also we'll find out what the Secretary General's take is on the National Super Alliance's process of trying to pick a presidential flag bearer. Don't go too far. This is Choice 2017 here on KTN News.